Hi everybody, and thanks for joining me today for this painting tutorial. This is a very soft pastel palette we're using today of a winter landscape, and the focal point of this painting I want to be this beautiful majestic mountain with a gorgeous warm golden light on it. Here are the colors that we're going to be using today. I'll list everything below in the description of this video. We're going to start off with the background, the sky. And for the sky, I'm going to be using my Cerulean blue. I'm just going to get my brush wet. I've got a number 50 Filbert blending brush, and I'm going to take my Cerulean blue quite a bit and just start applying it across the top of the canvas. Because this is such a large canvas, I'm going to be using some water to really help spread the paint around. Okay, the next color I'm going to take is white. Without washing my brush off, I'm just going to start pulling it across and softly blending it into that cerulean. So to get some pretty movement and soft clouds, I'm going to pull straight across and then blend sort of on an angle. It'll give it that really pretty smoothy looking sky. Okay, now I'm going to take a little bit of white with my light purple. And I'm going to add some streaks for some clouds coming down, starting from the top. Okay, just a few like that, and then right here for the distance, we'll add this light purple. We're going to pull across, back and forth. I'm just going to soften any streaky brush strokes at the top by blending softly over. Just with a bit of a damp brush, a little bit of water. Now we can start coming in with the shape of our mountain. And I'm going to make a gray color, so I'm just going to take a little bit of my black. I'm going to switch my brush to a flat one. This one is a number 12. Okay, so I've got some black here, this light purple, some white. And I'm just going to start right up here and pull on an angle. When you want to create some ridges, just kind of lift up and use the point, the end corner of your brush. And then I'm going to come around and kind of wiggle and squiggle, creating little bumps, and then taking it down right about there. So I'm taking a little bit of that purple, those pastel colors we made, with a little bit more white. A little bit of water. I'm going to loosen the paint, all that paint in my brush out. Take just a little bit more of the black to make a darker gray on this side. I'm just going to bring this up a little bit higher. So before I add my highlights, I'm going to go ahead and build up the blue and the shadows and the cool shadows we have. So I'm now going to take my light ultramarine blue and a little bit of cobalt blue. And I'm just going to start tapping, pulling and scooping. You really want to load up the bottom part of your brush. We're going to pull, bring it over towards the center here. And a little bit more of that lighter blue. And then I'm going to pull across and blend that out on the right side at the base of the mountain. Slightly up into the purple. I'm going to come in with a clean brush, take a little bit of the gray, a little bit of the blue, and start adding and incorporating a little bit of this into the dark shadow side. And add a little bit here and there. Okay, taking some more blue this time. I'm going to add a little bit of white. Get quite a bit on the bottom of my brush here. And I'll do a second layer, holding my brush flat like this, and pulling and dragging. Okay, now I'm going to take my purple, a little bit of white, same brush, and I'm going to start applying it down here at the base of the mountain. And a little bit more white right in here. I will do the same thing right down here. And then a bit of white. And you can even start tapping to create that instant forest far away, all those trees that we'll be building up with highlights a little bit after. Take more white and right about here, add a bit more of a highlight. I'm going to switch brushes to make that blend a lot more softly. I'm just going to use one of my oval mop brushes. This is just a 1-inch. It's dry. And all I want to do is just brush real light, creating little circles. And just a little bit more of that cerulean blue with some white. Creating soft little sweeping scoops like this. I just had a few water drips there, but I need to come underneath now with some of this blue anyways. So I'm just going to overlap. Look how pretty that is. Cerulean blue and white. Now I need a larger brush for this. So I'm going to use my number 30 Filbert here. And then I'm going to tap. So you can use the brush to blend, but you can also use it to create what looks like trees way off in the distance. Okay, so for the next color, I'm going to take my Cobalt with some white without washing my brush off. I like all these colors to blend. And I'm going to go right across here. Take a little more paint. Carry that right over. I'm just going to paint this section in now. I'm going to bring it up higher. We're going to go here. I'm going to start tapping. And you can pull and flick too. There's a few different ways to create that forest look. Okay, then I'm going to take some purple along with that blue. And go right, oops, I'm going to need a little bit more of that blue. I need this to be a little bit darker. Right up there. So I'm going to take some cerulean blue, purple, and cobalt blue. Start to create my path or road, whatever you want it to be. And bring it right here. Right here into the foreground. You want to make it wider at the bottom. So it really feels like we're on it and we're walking into this painting. I'm going to take some purple. I like to get a bunch of soft pastel tones going on. And then white. So I'm doing this without washing my brush off and before anything can dry too quickly. I'm just going to pull across lightly for some shadows in here. Take a bit of white. Some more blue. Let's just add a few lines in here for some more shadows. Maybe there's some trees over here off to the side and they're casting some shadows. Just think of like long, well, you can do lines if you want. Kind of looks neat to have little triangles, make some geometric shapes. And then scumble a little bit. That gives really neat kind of effect and look too. I'm going to take just a little bit of white with my purple. And I'm going to pull this in and drag and bring that up a little bit higher. Okay, with my flat brush, I'm going to take some more white. Bring that in just a little bit. I'm going to pull in a little soft purple highlight here on an angle. And I'm going to softly pull and make some areas here just a little bit of light purple, but I'm leaving some just blank canvas. Okay, the next thing I'm going to do is start working on some highlights on the mountain. And I'm going to apply them with Neon Yellow Warm and Neon Orange. If you don't have neon colors, just use any warm cadmium yellow and a bright, cool orange. Okay, I'm going to take white. I'm going to mix in a little bit of that beautiful neon yellow, warm. Take a little bit of both colors. Without mixing too much, I'm going to start up at the top here, right where we have the dark shadow on the other side. I'm going to follow. And I'm going to drag. More paint. This time we can push a little bit harder. Scumble or part of the purple. I'm going to get really close to that dark line. And I'm going to start to slide my brush and wiggle. You can also tap. And then I'm going to do the same thing, but I'm going to wiggle. Or with just part of my brush. You can use a smaller brush for this too. Probably would be easier if you're just a beginner painter. Filbert brush would work for this as well. There's a few different brushes. You could use a fan brush, a round brush, and then a little sweep back here. And be a little bit more generous with some color along the edge here. And then I'm going to start to come in and add little bits on this side. So you can just apply a little bit right in here. Okay, I'm going to add some down here. I'm going to do another row of trees and highlights here. And some more on the top. I'm really loading my brush. So if you get a little bit too much orange or either the neon orange or yellow, when it dries, it's going to dry darker. So correct it by adding some more white over top. And you can always go back to it after as well. Once it dries, you can really have a better idea of what the color is going to be. I'm just going to take a little bit of my blues, purples, a little bit of white, and add some cooler trees going down here. Okay, loading up with some more white now and just a little bit of the neon colors. I want to apply a little bit more white this time. Make this a little bit wider. So it's really up to you how much highlights you want to add. I just have so much fun doing it. I'm going to take a little bit more of my purple here without washing my brush off. So I've got all those colors in there, warm ones. And I'm going to come right down here and enhance this color a little bit, and shadows. Bring that up just a little bit higher. Okay, I'm going to get my light colors here, neon yellow and orange with white. And I'm going to be a little bit shaky. I'm gonna add a few brush strokes here. Add some light on this path. So I'm pulling down and then across, and then a little scumble. All of these will really make it look more like snow. It could also be a river if you wanted it to be. Maybe that's what it looks more like right now, I don't know. And then a little bit of purple. And I'm just going to lightly scumble over that as well. Soften some of that off. And then I'm going to go right into my beautiful cobalt blue. Really bring in a nice deep blue shadow here, intense. I'm going to use a Filbert brush. Okay, I've got this number 12 one here. And I'm going to take some black, cerulean blue, yeah, I think that's a pretty good color. I'm going to add one right about here. Come down. We've got this shadow here. And I'm just going to start making it look kind of clumpy, so pushing on the side of my brush and then turning, kind of rolling and turning. Okay, then I'm going to add a few over here. I'm going to add a little line right here. I'm just going to pull and flick. It's the easiest, most effective technique I've found over the years, and it's really helpful for beginners too. Just simple, line your brush up, pull and flick up, so it's just a little flick of the wrist. And then I'm going to come in with some white and just start tapping side to side. They're kind of far away, so I want them to be a little bit on the less detailed side. You definitely want some highlights on there, so just taking a little bit of white, the dirty brush, and that cerulean blue and black. A little bit more white on there. So try a few different techniques like this and see what you feel comfortable with and what works for you. I'm just going to even take a little bit of blue now just to sweep that across the bottom and just clean that base up. You know what, I'm going to keep this going. I'm going to pull, make it look narrower and narrower. Again, just little flicks. By all means, use a smaller brush. I probably should be. It would be easier for me, but when I'm in the middle of painting and I'm having so much fun, I tend to not want to stop what I'm doing and switch brushes. Okay, and again, we're going to add little taps on the tops of these trees, little snow-covered trees. I'll just clean up the bottom there a little bit, and I'll add a little bit more dark colors here at the base. Now I'm going to use a different brush and a totally different approach to adding the snow on this tree here. I want this tree to just be caked and it looked like just big snowballs all over it. So I'm going to use a round brush for this. So I've got this one here. Actually, this will be okay just for the top branches, but then I'm going to switch over to a smaller one. So I've got quite a bit of paint on here. I'm going to take some of those warm colors, the yellow and the orange. You really want to have it on the tip of your brush, and you want to just dab it on, leave it, and I'm going to switch to a bigger brush. So I've got this number 7 round brush, and this is Artist Loft in case you guys are wondering. I'm just going to take a whole bunch of white paint here. And my paint is still wet underneath, but that's okay. Just don't push too hard. And it's fine to get a little bit of that greenish, bluish, grayish color. You want to leave a few spaces, exposing some of the dark underneath, right? I'm going to come over top and just inside here. Add a little bit. Not a little bit, a lot of white. I'm going to add a bit of a shadow down here. It's going to join up. So we'll take that same blue. I'm just going to bring it right up to the tree for a nice shadow. I'm going to clean up just underneath here and off to the side. I'm going to make some more of that color now. Cerulean blue with some black. I've washed all of the highlight color out of my brush. I'm going to add a little bit, kind of just in between here, and let some of those colors blend together. I'm going to come around this side. I'm going to make another tree. I'm going to bring it up to about here. What I'm going to do is just kind of make this wobbly, swirly looking triangle. And I'm going to go over to the mountain. I'm just going to let that dry a little bit. I'm going to take a little bit of that blue-gray color with a bit of white. And just add little bits of gray here on the edge to give it a bit more depth. Okay, I'm going to make more of that blue-violet color just by taking white and mixing it with my cobalt blue. And bring it over. And then I'm going to take a little bit of purple and white, add a few touches of purple highlights here. So wherever I have a little bit of that gray, I'm going to add some light purple. And how pretty it is to mix the purple with a light blue violet and add some of that. I think that just enhances it. All the colors look so pretty together. Okay, I can make a pretty shadow color by taking all the blues and the purple, a little bit of white, and I'll add a little bit right there. And I'm going to add some shadow colors for the snow. Same purple, blue, white, just a little bit. And I'll start adding some to the tree back here. Mix some peach in there. And I can add more to that tree once it dries. I have a light filter here of my yellow and white. And now I'm going to add a few more trees. I'm going to use my mini Filbert brush for this. Just add any of my blue, purple, light colors here that'll show up. So all I'm doing here is just adding height to these trees. I decided partway through here that I wanted them to be taller and have some more highlights on them. And they're going to get smaller and smaller here, so I'm not going to add as many branches like I have over here on these bigger ones. Time to add some highlights on the snow on this tree now. Just want to round this out a little bit. Now we could have a few trees back here too. Maybe some little ones here. This all helps to add some perspective. And I'll add a little bit of snow on them. A little bit of peach highlight on some of these trees, maybe not all of them. And then a soft highlight back there. Okay, I'm going to decide right now, or I am deciding right now, to add a fence. And I've got some orange here, so I'm going to take the rest of my orange and mix it with my black and a little bit of that blue. I'm going to come in here and just add crooked fence that of course will be covered in snow. Make them smaller. And then closer together. Okay, and then we're going to just have thin line. Maybe it's wire. I'm just going to take off a little bit of it to make it a little bit thinner here. And then I'm going to add some snow to it. But first I want to do, or add a shadow. So I'm going to take some water, some purple, any one of these darker colors, anything that's going to show up on the snow. You can have the shadow coming this way too if you want, or choose. And then kind of have a light indication of a shadow down below from the wire here. Okay, I'm going to use another round brush to apply the snow with. And I'm going to make a light bluey purple shade of snow. So of course we're going to have smaller amounts here. Kind of just disappear back there. In fact, that's a bit too much, so I'm just going to take some of that off. I like to make it a little bit round on the top when I add the snow. And then maybe I'll change up the color of the shadows on the snow a little bit as we get off to the side here. So you really want to have quite a bit to work with. to make it look 3D and not see-through. I think the last thing I want to do is just add some purple to my blue. And just kind of calm this down a little bit, take it down a notch. Now, it might be something that you guys like and you want to keep, but it's sticking out to me right now and I don't feel comfortable with that color, so that's how I know I need to change that. So just a little bit like that. And see, I've got this line that goes up here, so I'm going to take a little bit of my light purple and just dab that over. So back here, it's going to be lighter because that's what happens in the distance. So I'm just going to go over, I'm going to start to add some of my cobalt blue with a little bit of purple, and that's going to be a bit tough to do because it's still wet and it's pretty thick. So there, I like the way that looks better. Adding more of my white highlights. Over any harsh lines. Anything that I don't want to dry too dark. With my round brush, a little bit of neon yellow warm. I'm going to apply final highlights here. So on these trees, tree tops back here, little lines. And then scumble out the rest. few dots and dabs. Okay, I'm gonna call this painting all done. This was so much fun to paint. I love painting on big canvases from time to time like this. I'll list all of the colors, the brushes, the canvas I'm using down below in the description of this video, as well as links to Facebook, Instagram, Pinterest, and Patreon. Have a wonderful day, happy painting, enjoy this winter season. Bye everybody.